Woodstock West. We will be posting a link in the chat at the end of this conference, but just know whatever you don't find here today regarding Woodstock West, go to the Facebook page. Let's see. I think that's it. I'm going to read something, right? You'll notice that's going to be a pattern, reading before every step. So step 4, where we examine the narrative that we've been telling ourselves and spreading it to our friends, it says on page 70, if we have been thorough about our personal inventory, we have written down a lot. We have listed and analyzed our resentments. We have begun to comprehend their futility and their fatality. We have commenced to see their terrible destructiveness. We have begun to learn tolerance, patience, and goodwill toward all men, even our enemies. For we look upon them as sick people. We have listed the people we have hurt by our conduct and are willing to straighten out the past if we can. In this book, you will read again and again that faith did for us what we could not do for ourselves. We hope you are convinced now that God can remove whatever self-will has blocked you off from him. If you have already made a decision and an inventory of your grosser handicaps, you will have made a good beginning. That being so, you have swallowed and digested some big chunks of truth about yourself. This book is a masterpiece, I am telling you. So I want to welcome my friend Theresa to talk about 4 and 5. Theresa, you'll have an hour. At 55 minutes, you'll hear a beep. That means you have 5 minutes left, and I'll give you a 1-minute warning.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ralph, the committee, Candace. Hi, everybody. This is still weird. Good afternoon. My name is Theresa. I'm an alcoholic. Grateful to be here. Grateful to be sober because of a loving God. And thank you so much for allowing me to participate in my recovery. Woodstock is dear to me. I just love it. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I know more than anything, Ralph is like a kid in a candy store. He's always sitting back, loving every minute of it. It's like we joining his parties. And I'm glad I'm invited and we get to be a part of this experience. And on this ride and this journey, I've heard all the speakers so far this morning. It's been really powerful and filling. It just filled me up. And it also what happens when I'm listening, it just gets a lot of stuff going on in my, you know what I mean? Thoughts start going on in my head. Okay. There's always a share before I share, folks. It just helps me out. I'm uncomfortable. This is awkward, intimidating, and I feel vulnerable. Even when I get into the steps, I just feel like there's so much meat and potatoes in there and I'm going to miss out on some of it, you know, but I'll do the best I can to share whatever my experience is and see how this goes. Oh, goodness gracious. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay, Mom, let's sit right here. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, I got to settle on him. I think I should start backwards. Let me see. I love this step. It's funny when Ralph asked me to do 4 and 5. I don't know if I have a favorite step because I believe that they all work hand in hand. They're in conjunction of one another. The answer to each step is in the next step. So I want to welcome the newcomer to just have an open mind. And I heard, you know, take what applies and perhaps put the rest on the shelf. But if we could just take a moment to just be willing to, I don't have to get it. I don't have to fully agree to it. That's what I learned when I got here. Just I'm glad you're here and just have an open mind and just see what happens. And all the old timers, thank you so much for being here and in my life. Thank you for my sobriety. This came to me as I was listening. I wanted to read this. And I'm not good. Like, I know Katie and Charlie, there's some folks that are so awesome where they could just read from the book and kind of share. It throws me off if I do a lot of reading. But this kept coming up, and I wanted to read something that has always stood out to me and let me know how vital these steps are. And we hear it often in the meetings, and we repeat it, and we can even say it as a little slogan. But when I look at the definition of these words, it only perpetuates the enthusiasm and the dedication and conviction to pursue all these 12 steps. And that is, we say, cunning, baffling, powerful. That's alcoholism. And without help, we're in trouble. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I love to share with people sometimes. I'm like, have we really understood the definition of that word? I don't know about you. When I define that, I don't know how I'm willing to like rest on my laurels, not figure out how to apply that to my life. Because cunning, baffling, and powerful, the definitions are scary. So I just wanted to share that real quick. Cunning means having or showing skill in achieving one's end by deceit and evasion. That means I can't see it. And the moment I think I see it, it dodges. It's like a ninja. So I see that, you know what I mean? I think I got my alcoholism. I think I got it down packed. But then next thing you know, it transforms. It's a chameleon, and it uses different masks, and it switches up. It gives me the impression that it isn't. It can even put on the illusion that is God, or that, like Charlie read, that I'm kind and considerate. It's evading. It's evasive. I can't notice it. I don't see it. So that's cunning. And it's to its own end. So it will go out of its way to ensure that it evades itself from me, that it deceits me, and it hides from me. And then baffling, totally bewildered and perplexed. I can't figure it out. To be bewildered and perplexed means I'm always in shock. What happened? How did that happen? What was going on? I don't get it. What's wrong with you? Why are you talking to me like that? Why are you bothering me? I'm constantly bewildered and perplexed. I said I wasn't, but now I'm doing it. I insisted. I'll swear off forever. I'm never going to do it again. What am I doing now? I'm doing it again. That is bewildered and perplexed. I can't explain it to you. I can't explain it to the doctors, to my family. I'm just as perplexed as you are. That I swore that I would never do this again, but here we are again. That's the conundrum. And then power, the ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as faculty or quality. The capacity or the ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or course of events. It has the capacity to direct and influence. This is the illness that I suffer from. I have an illness called alcoholism. And okay. How can I figure this out? I can't. It reminds me of, if I associate it with a point of reference, my brother had an illness, and the doctors, it was perplexing. They didn't know what it was. And his blood, all they knew was his organs were breaking down. He was losing blood. They couldn't pinpoint it. He was about to die. They couldn't figure it out. It was more powerful than the doctors. It was perplexing. They didn't know what to do about it, and it would move. And what they ended up finally defining it was called hemolytic anemia. And it was an antibody that literally, the antibody was designed to protect the body from viruses. Instead, this antibody went nuts and thought that everything in the body was wrong. That reminds me of alcoholism. It detected everything, the good and the bad, as bad, and started killing everything off. And they told me that it was moving like a locomotive. And every time they thought they would get it, it would dodge and go somewhere else. And they had to figure out how to slow this thing down so they can finally reach a place to eradicate it and treat it and save my brother's life. And to me, that is the analogy of alcoholism and the desperation and the necessity to incorporate these 12 steps in my life. I have an illness such as this. And I always say, once I fully understand what I suffer from, and I am so grateful by the gift of desperation and the grace of a loving God, and that alcohol was through with me, that I was able to see what I suffer from. That means there is nothing in my own power and human power that is going to relieve me of my alcoholism. Man, I wish you could. Oh man, I swear. I've tried. I still try to this day. Somehow, some way, I try to hope that somebody can fix this. But you say there's only one who has all power, and that one is God. So the illness that I have is actually a spiritual malady, and that this is a program of spiritual action. That I take care of the allergy by recognizing that I put the plug in the jug, but now I'm left with what I started out with in the beginning on why I turned to the bottle. I turned to the bottle because I had nothing else. I got no other tools. I got nothing else to work with. And it gave me this sense of relief and belonging. And now it's not working. So what am I left with? The same dilemma. And the dilemma is the bondage of being uncomfortable and awkward with you, with life, with things. I don't do well with this thing called life. That's what also makes me different. Something happens in my mind that tells me, and I looked at that at 2. My mind tells me something's wrong with you, something's wrong with me, everything is off, everything is terrible, nothing is right, nothing is not enough. That doesn't happen to normal people. It may happen to some, but that's not normal occurrence of how they think. I talk to normal people. They don't spend their days thinking like that, but I can wake up that way. What do? I ran to these steps. I don't remember when I came into the program asking a whole lot of questions. I just remember going, if that's what you guys did, then that's what I'm going to do. And I guess it's almost like, I don't know about y'all, but whenever I got loaded, I don't remember saying, let me find out a little bit more about this new drink, pill, powder before I ingest it. I just did it. And then I found out what happened. And that's how I did the steps. I was like, I don't know. Let's see what happens. And if it's cunning, baffling, and powerful, and I can't evade it, and I can't figure it out, you told me the solution. And the solution was that I needed to tap into this source of power, and the source of power lied within me. And in order to get to it, I need to get rid of the junk. I didn't even know I had junk, but I got to get rid of it. And you gave me the tools in order to dig. If I want to garden something, I need the tools to go in the garden. If I want a pool, I need the tools to rake out the dirt to make a pool. And anything that I do in my life, I need a tool to accomplish it. And the inventory was the tool to dig in and to get rid of whatever that was blocking me. And I get to learn how to use this on a daily basis. It has saved my life and the lives of so many people in my space. It gives me oxygen. It's the cloth that cleans the glasses, straightens out the lenses, gets me in alignment and perspective of where I am in this world with you and with God. And I love this step so much. I want to start with today. And I was thinking about it while it was happening, going, if it wasn't for the inventory, this experience that I'm having today wouldn't go so well. Most of you know I take care of my mother. And mommy's digressing. So I'm listening to Charlie and getting ready, right, for this next phase, for us to go in the 4 and 5. And I'm excited, and I don't want to get into it. I was up all night. I had a half-hour sleep. And so I'm listening. I've been this morning. I'm listening to Charlie, and I'm like, I want to really, really focus now. This is what Theresa wants to do. I want to take all this in. I want to be centered in here and present so that when it's my turn, I am with you guys. And no sooner than about 10 minutes before, mommy shows up and she's standing there and there's urine and feces and you know what I mean? And she's like, I don't know. And immediately I need to pause, ask myself, what is this affecting? I got plans. I had plans, right? Is this the cause of my own making? I don't think so. This is what's happening. Where am I being selfish? This is what I want to do. And if I do what I want to do, I'm going to get what I'm going to get. Where am I being dishonest? I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, quite frankly. And what am I afraid of? That I'm going to miss something? Miss what? I don't have anybody to turn to and tell on myself, but I recognize it. I immediately ask God to remove that. And I begin to help mommy take off those clothes, clean her up, get some other clothes, get her dressed again, bring her downstairs, get settled, and I'm right on time. That could have went completely different. I could be irritated, angry, you know what I mean? Volatile, you know what I mean? Mistreating her. The steps have saved my life and the life of those around me. My initial inventory gave me an awareness of how selfishness kept me handicapped, in bondage, muffled, and it was killing me. And I didn't even know it. Didn't even know it. I love how some people say, why dig up the past? And what I always say is, whoever told you that it was buried? As far as I'm concerned, I live my life based on my resentments and my fears and my conduct. I make decisions based on that. I look at the world that way. So there's nothing buried. I need to go in and see what is it that has me fogged from this sight of you. The inventory is the only tool I know that does that. It's either, I love how Polly talked about it. Either it's going to be the bottle that's going to help me to do that or these 12 steps. I got no in between. I don't know what else to use. I don't do life like that. It's either one or the other. And the tool helps me to do that. And I get to examine. I'm angry about a lot of things. Life disturbs me. It just does. I was telling, I think it was Ali the other night. Sometimes I've written and been jealous of what is it like to coast and rest on your laurels, right? And cruise and not do anything. I don't get the luxury. Life is constantly happening. And my alcoholism, I say, has tools to play with. I call it, they have toys. My alcoholism has toys. It plays with life situations. It plays with what I perhaps think of myself, or what I call them toys. You know what I'm saying? I spend a lot of days as the observer watching the disease of alcoholism and the grace of God go at it. That's how I spend my days, I swear. I be watching this go off. I'm like, check this out. I wouldn't be talking to you if it wasn't for the step. I would not be here. I believe that in every part of me. I would not be here with you. I would either be in a straitjacket or in a coffin, in a wooden box, if it wasn't for this step and all that follow with it. I just know it. Every part of me knows it. I get an opportunity after I'm 3, being convinced that life run by me doesn't work. And I have evidence so far because it brought me to you. And I'm no longer the CEO of Theresa Incorporated. And because I'm no longer the CEO, I need an overhauling. And I got to bring someone in to help clean house and let me know what is it that is not allowing this business to function. Any good business does that. Any good business, if you want to be successful. And I love how they use that language because it's true. Anything that isn't failing or is not working has to be evaluated. I've sat with too many people and too many hospitals across too many doctors' desks to hear that doctor break down what is wrong with the body that is chronically killing the person that I love. And they immediately say, this is how we have to treat it and attack it in order to have quality of life. And it's only alcoholism that we sit across a therapist, a doctor, or whatever, where I'm told, or in a meeting or a sponsor, that I'm told, this is my diagnosis, and here is your prognosis, and here is the treatment. And the insidiousness of the cunning, baffling, powerful disease that I suffer from is the only illness out of any other illness that I say, nah, I don't have that. Are you sure about that? I don't think so. I think I got this covered. Thank you, Doc. I don't remember my brother saying that when he had Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 4 throughout his entire body, that he went home and we said, you know what, Doc, thank you so much. We're going to go home and figure out how to get rid of it. When I sat across and figured you got diabetes and you're going to need insulin or metformin every single day, probably for the rest of your life, and change your diet, that we said, nah, we probably don't have it. Just having a moment. Thank you very much. I'll go home, eat some cake, and figure out how to handle it. This is the only illness that does that. And that terrifies the heck out of me. That's why I need you. Because the first thing I need to know is I can't do nothing about this. And in order to tackle this, this is the treatment that only a spiritual remedy can attack and eradicate it, because it says this is how thousands of men and women have recovered ED, to be restored to health, that I'll have a sense of quality of life. And I'm going to need this medication and this treatment every single day for the rest of my life. But I will have a quality of life. And as this step in particular, I'm going to give some examples in today, because they're really good examples. I gave you one with mommy. That happens to me every single day. I've sat across, and I'm going to use, because I've been a caregiver since 2005. And as a result of cleaning house and saying, God, what will you have me do? What will you have me be? And I've shared this. I'm the caregiver and the caretaker to most of my perpetrators, my abusers. Oh my goodness. And I've sat with people dying, having to make decisions on whether to pull a plug or not. And if it wasn't for this step, I wouldn't know what I would do. All these steps, really. But we're focusing on this one. I immediately have to recognize that in that situation, my brother went into cardiac arrest. I got to sign a paper to say that he's losing his breath, to put him on a life support machine. I only got split seconds to do that. He can't breathe. I got split seconds to put him on life support. I got to immediately know how to do this. I am what? I'm not powerless over him losing his breath. I love how people believe that. People say I'm powerless over people, places, and things. No, I'm powerless over alcohol, and my life is unmanageable. What does that mean? I'm powerless over the disease that is centered in my thinking. I am powerless over the manifestation of this cunning, baffling, and powerful illness that will infiltrate immediately and attack me. It's centered in my spirit. And as long as I don't pick up the jug, the allergy won't go buck wild, and now we're in this cycle of insanity. I immediately have to know that I'm powerless over my alcoholism. And my life is unmanageable if I don't understand that. Because I know that it's now going to start in between my ears about that situation. And I have to ask God to restore me to sanity because I'm going cocoa for Cocoa Puffs. Immediately, somebody you love is dying. I'm different from my fellows. I don't know how normal people handle that. And let's put it this way. I've seen normal people handle it in a way that is stressful and taxing and difficult. But I'm an alcoholic. I address that differently. Let's take that, their situation, the way it's escalated, and times it by 20. I immediately have to believe that there's a power that can restore me to sanity. Make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of this God. I don't got time to try to dissect it, understand it, process it, figure it out. I just got to do it. And then I immediately have to look at what is this affecting? Of course it's affecting my relationship with my brother. I want my brother in my life. That's my older brother. What are you talking about? My basic instincts are threatened. My natural instincts of want, desire, my self-esteem. Why is it on me to figure this out, make this? What is that going to look to me? What is that going to mean to me? What's going to happen to me? What do I look like to decide to do that? I ain't got time to sit on this and talk about writing about it next week and maybe talk to someone about it. I got to do it now. My brother's losing breath. Do I just sign the paper? I don't know how to do that. This is affecting everything. My pocketbook, my security, my ambitions. What are my ambitions? I want him in my life. I don't want him to go on a machine. I want us to go home and spend time together. All that's being attacked immediately in a split second. And I have to immediately say, this is, oh my goodness, God save me from being angry. I'm mad at the doctor. I'm mad at everybody. I'm mad at cancer. I need to pray for all of that. Save me from being angry. Thy will be done, not mine. And then he resolutely and immediately look at, Theresa, where are you being selfish? I'm being selfish because I want my brothers in my life. I don't want to have this responsibility. I don't want to do it. Where are you self-seeking? If he stays here, I'll have him. I won't have to decide. It won't be on me. Where are you dishonest? You're dishonest because he can't breathe. It's your responsibility. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. It's on you. Why not you? It is you. Let's do this. Where are you afraid? I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I won't have him. I'm afraid that I'll be in trouble. I'm afraid that I'll make the wrong mistake. I'm afraid mommy's going to be angry. I'm afraid he's going to die. Woo! Where do you get this fear from? Oh, I got a list. We ain't got time to spend time processing that. God, please remove my fear of da-da-da-da-da. Literally, that's what I've had to do. And what? The only thing I did with the doctor is say, give me a minute. And you should have seen my nephews and the pastors and stuff all looking through the window in the family room right next door. They all looking at me and I'm on my knees. And they're just watching me. And then I stand up, I come outside, I breathe, and I ask a question. One question. Would I be able to change my mind at any time? Should things change? And they said yes. Let's do it. That's all I know. That's all I know. There have been multiple situations in my life, and I'm 30 years sober. I can't believe it. And when I met God butt naked alone with a white flag up my booty in my 5th year of sobriety, I've been having to live in the moment and in the present time. We talk about being rocketed into the 4th dimension, which is time. To be catapulted into the 4th dimension. To be relieved of bondage of self. To have longevity in sobriety. How do I do this? I got a clean house. I don't know how else to do it. Honestly, folks, I don't. I don't know how to do it without, I'm getting emotional because I don't. I don't know how to do it without cleaning house. How do I tap into that source of power without cleaning house. Because if I don't clean house, you know who's in charge? Me. And believe it or not, that's an illusion. You know who's really in charge? My disease. Love when Sandy Beach says it. Either I'm living in my defects of character or in God's will. Everything else is an illusion. It's an illusion. I am making decisions and operating off of my resentments, off of my fears, off of my selfishness, my self-seeking. I'm living by that. I ain't running nothing. So I clean house. So I can tap into the only power that can tackle this beast, this gorilla, this illness. That's the only thing that's bigger or greater than that. No money, no lover, no friend, no job, no house is bigger than this thing called alcoholism. Only this power. That's been my experience. I don't know if you knew, maybe you have another one. I love how old timers used to tell me, I don't know what you newcomers gonna do. You do whatever you want. This is what we have done, because this is what I understand. I suffer from an illness that I can't see, that I can't figure out, that has the strength to do whatever to facilitate and construct whatever goal it has without my input, without my decision, without my vote. That's scary. I need a power. I need a power. And all I know, I don't see Candace. I lost Candace.
I'm here.
Okay, okay. You'll turn on your screen when you get me. Okay.
Yeah.
All I know is I need this power, and I've used it. I've used this step I have so many situations where I picked up a pen and a paper. I've been at work in a board meeting, and I always say this. I'm so grateful nobody looked at my notes. They thought I was taking good notes in the staff meeting. I wasn't taking notes. I was doing inventory. Man, I'm sitting in an office with nothing but men, and I come from a lot of abuse. And they're laughing at me, and anything that I'm talking about, they're saying something. This is where I'm at. And it seems like every idea, every concept, every input, they belittling me. They're saying something. I'm like, hold up. I might be having an entirely different experience of what's going on. I'm an alcoholic. I might be having an entirely different experience of what's happening in the staff meeting. Hold on a second. And I pick up a pen and paper, and I start doing inventory, so that I can be present in that staff meeting. My objective and what I understand of this spiritual malady is to bring me into present time. Because my resentments and my fears and my sexual, emotional desire conduct will place me in yesterday and in tomorrow, not in today. And where do I find God? You said it was inside of me, but you also told me where it was. In a place that I have to make an effort to visit, and it's in the now. It's funny how they say it. They go, may you find God now. And people say, I'm looking for God. You're looking for God where? It's in the now. So I need to get rid of everything and anything that blocks me from the now. Everything. In those split decisions that I've had to make, or my dad now getting ready to die, and I'm telling you, I didn't want him to die, but I needed to be in the present moment. I needed to be in the present moment. This person is dying. I don't have no time to go back in the past and worry about what's going to be missing in the future. This time is sacred. He's losing his breath. I need a source of power, and I need it now. And that's where I'm going to find him now. Well, what's keeping me from now? My resentments, my fear. You know what I mean? I know how the simplicity of that is freaking amazing. It ain't that deep. And I can tell when I'm not in the now. I can tell. I'm tripping on some stuff about the situation, but it has something to do with what I want, what's not happening, what's got to do, what's got to happen. No. We can't do that. How do I come into present time and have an experience? And now I'm able to do what's in front of me, to hear, to be effective, to be present and useful. I'm no longer caught up in the trap of my mind. And I only know one power that can do it. But I can't get to it without this step. Without these steps, I can't get to it. I wish I could. I wish I just had the easy ability to just be like, oh, I'm one with God, and there you go. And I'm a priest, okay? I'm a priestess. My house is a sanctuary. That's why I love listening to a lot of priests and clergy, you know what I mean, in this program, because my house is a church and a sanctuary, and I know a lot of religious ceremonies and tons of prayers and rituals. I got tons of them. I'm responsible for a majority of them. But these 12 steps, it's the only thing I have found that aligns me. Now I can hear whether it's the 4 agreements, you know what I mean? All these other spiritual tools. Now I can bring them into this space. But until then, that's why I have a problem with religious people. I came to you. Now I'm not into that God thing, that religious thing. Inventory. Oh, maybe those religious people are right. How else was I supposed to reach there? I needed to get rid of that. Get rid of that. It's constant house cleaning, constant house cleaning. Inventory has given me a freedom, and it says it's the archway to freedom. It allows me to gather the evidence necessary to really see that life run by me don't work. That whenever I'm operating off of those different dynamics, it can hardly be a success. I'm in collision with something or somebody. It doesn't turn out so well. I don't seem to win. And then you know what happens? I start saying, what's the point anyway? I don't need to be here. Who cares? Now self-pity sets in, and depression, and the drink, my mouth gets watery, you know what I'm saying? And it begins a little bit more appealing, or the dope house, or whatever it is that you go to. And there I am again, off and running. Because life is hard. This is the one thing that allows me to stay present with you. As uncomfortable as life can be, as difficult that things don't go my way, this is the tool that allows me to join it all together and be like, okay, where do you have me, God, in the scheme of these life situations? And what would you like me to do to be effective and productive and to participate and to become a team player? These are the only step that helps me to do that. And it is that simple. I can make it far more complicated than necessary. And I'm so grateful that all those who have come before me and all my mentors and teachers have always brought me back to the simplicity. Even when I make it complicated, they've always kept it just as simple as follow the black on the white, write it out, pick up a pen and paper, do as it's outlined, and see what happens. And I've seen what happens. I am a child of God. Now I deserve to be here. I begin to have an attitude of gratitude, and I see how I am a part of the greater whole. I'm not less than, I'm not better than. I don't have to control, I don't have to fix, I don't have to make anything happen. I don't have to be a square peg trying to go into a round hole. And I don't need you to also be an orange when you're really an apple. I could just be. The freedom that I found around here is the state of just being. And what's interesting is that's kind of what I thought I was getting out of the bottle, the fix, the pill, or the needle. But it was temporary. And then it backfired. So here I am. And I'm so grateful that you gave me this. I've discovered many things in my inventory. I've discovered where Theresa is not sufficient. That's what I've discovered. I'm not a bad person. I've never seen the inventory like a baseball bat. That I've put down the baseball bat of beating up other people, and then I turned it around and started beating up on myself. I saw the inventory as an opportunity to have a different perspective on how I had been seeing the world around me. What I actually found in the inventory when I looked at where I was at fault was compassion, not only for others, but for me. Candace read that. I find it for me. Oh, I'm not a bad person. I'm not a horrible person. I have an illness. I have an illness that has learned to rely on some old tools that are really not productive or effective. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to build a house with some tools that don't really work, and that's why it keeps falling apart. And I'm wondering why. That's what I found out. Oh my goodness. I love it because it's almost addictive. I think so. What do you call that word? I don't even know. Whatever. I I I don't know what that word is. Whatever. I don't know if it's masochistic or something. It's almost like I'm excited, and then like I'm excited for inventory because I want to see what else is blocking me. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm constantly like, let me see what else is keeping me from being. And I remember my sponsor, Lovey, used to say this: we're trying to get to your authentic self. We need to get to your authentic self. I'm not under the impression that God is building a new Theresa or a Theresa that's unknown, as though he's shifting and chiseling into this unknown person. It's actually, the chiseling is getting rid of who I actually really am in there. Good, loving, kind, considerate. That's who I am. But my alcoholism stands in the way of that. And that's why I value that tool that helps me to go, let's get rid of what's blocking me. What's blocking me? Let's get rid of it. Because I want to get to my authentic self. I want to get to the genuineness of my kindness and compassion and dedication and my childlike God self, so that I can be effective and useful in the lives of the people around me, and I can have my own experiences. But that's where I'm at. I encourage anyone, if we're lollygagging or not doing it, or if it's been years since you've done one, try it and see what happens. You know, I always know I can always go back to that insanity. It doesn't disappear. It's waiting and lying and waiting for me, you know what I mean, to live in that again. But what would it look like if I gave it a shot? And I found the time to just pick up that pen and paper and be willing to see some things, some chunks of information about myself. What would I get? Spiritual freedom? Ooh, that's scary. I know that it's scary for the disease of alcoholism. That's why it does everything possible to convince me not to do it. That's why it goes out of its way to make me procrastinate or get busy or get caught up in life or to be, you know, exhausted or tired, or I can't even find a pen and paper. It would do anything possible for me to not get close to this God, to not come into my authentic self, and to have longevity in my sobriety. It would do everything possible to keep me from the sunlight of the Spirit. And I have resilience, desire, dedication, and tenacity to pursue the sunlight of the Spirit like I pursued the drink, the drug, the pill, the fix. And the only way I know how to do that is to apply these steps to my life every single day, all day, because that is the antidote. That is the singular thing that will treat this illness, because nothing else will. I'm sure my time should be about up. It's going on 1:30. No, Ralph is saying no.
No, you have 13 minutes and 38 seconds left.
I mean, my time. I'm excited about all the speakers. It's really, you know, I've spent a lot of conversations on this inventory. The moment anyone calls, it's kind of like, did you write? Have you cleaned house? Or, you know, it's very interesting how most folks immediately, I just want to talk to God. I want to get in touch with God. I want to problem solve. I want to handle that situation. I need to figure out how to fix that. I need to figure out how to correct that. And I'm like, inventory. I can't make any decisions until I inventory. That's what I've learned. I'm unable to make, because I know that if I don't inventory, that decision is based on self and on fear. Period. That is the root of my troubles. And it don't matter I've been sober this long. I get a daily reprieve. That stuff comes back tomorrow, like a diabetic that needs insulin. They took their insulin yesterday. Mommy takes metformin. The metformin I gave her yesterday don't apply today. When I forget to give her certain medicine, it ain't cute. It don't matter, I give it to, you know what I'm saying? And now we might end up in the emergency room if I let another day go by. That's the same thing with my alcoholism. I am constantly uncovering, discovering, and discarding. The only way I know how to do it is inventory and looking. And when I forget to look, you remind me. I'm going to use this one example of a time where I really didn't even notice. And it scared the heck out of me. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was on the computer. And the obsession to drink came over me. It was like a thief in the night. It engulfed me. I mean, it literally, it wasn't a thought. It was demonic. It literally engulfed my entire body. And my first thought was, oh my goodness, is this what it feels like when one goes to relapse? That was my first thought. Is this what happens when you go to relapse? Now, Kim, my partner, was in the very next room. I could not go tell her what just came over me. Every part of me knew that when I got up off that chair, I was going to go get loaded. Thank God my feet are trained. And I've been doing this religiously to the best of my ability, one day at a time. I fell immediately to my knees. And I began saying, God, please remove the obsession. It was on me. I'm talking about on me. And I did not get up until it was lifted. Felt like hours to me, but it was probably like 5-10 minutes. And it just, and I was writing and I didn't know what was happening and I was scared. I felt like the disease was on the attack. It found out how to infiltrate and it was taking everybody over. And so I started asking people in the program. I started saying, has this happened to you? Do you know what this is? I was scared. It was coming back to get me. Interesting enough, it was Larry T, and we're going to hear him later. Love him some Larry. We're in Iceland. And I'm sharing with them about that experience if anybody had it. And afterwards, he told me, and he said, sit down, little lady. And I sat down and he said, you know, you do a lot of work, Theresa. I'm one to say I can vouch for how hard you work this program. You are in unity, recovery, and service, and you are constantly within this work and helping others. But the disease knows, cunning, baffling, and powerful. It knows the things you don't want to look at. It sees what you sweep under the rug. And there's something that you have swept under the rug and haven't looked. And I'm like, what is it? Because I do a lot of writing, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, I know you do. And then he says, when's the last time you've been to Arizona? Freaking love these old timers. When's the last time you've been to Arizona, Theresa? I'm like, Arizona? What the hell does Arizona have to do with this? And he said it again. Last time you've been to Arizona. I'm like, I swear, Larry, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, your dad. When's the last time you, and it still gets me. You know what you swept under the rug? Your dad is dying. And I know this is a big one for you. This is huge. And you didn't even notice that you swept because it's so big. Do you know what I'm saying? Daddy, when he got his Parkinson's and it started to get worse, cunning, baffling, and powerful, I didn't even notice that I dismissed it. I just didn't. But what I did was too much. And all I did was like, it was almost subconscious. I was like, nope, we're not doing this one. You know what I mean? Nope, we're not dealing with this. And he was like, and the disease knows. And unless you inventory that and look at that, and the reason why it came after you like a thief in the night is because your light's too big. It can't just come as a fleeting thought. It had to take your life out. That's deep, y'all. I was like, what? Cunning, baffling, powerful. And I'm in the work. I'm in unity, recovery, and service. And it came at me like that. I immediately, you know what I mean? We got to do some work. And it was big. And the disease knew. I cannot explain to you the depth of the love for my dad. And the idea of an illness taking him out was unacceptable to me. And I casually dismissed it, moved on, kept doing other work, helping others, I don't know what negotiation I was giving with God or doing with God, but I moved on, and the disease knew it and almost took me out. That's deep. So I continue to look. I need you when I can't see to pull the covers. That's why I always share with new, old. You ain't got to dance with everybody, but you need to dance with somebody. Thank God. Thank God I fell to my knees. You know what I mean? And I prayed to that God that I've come to understand, that you introduced me to, and given me the privilege to introduce others. Thank God. If not, you wouldn't be talking to me. Behind what? How would that have been useful to my daddy had I had gotten loaded? You know what I'm saying? Instead, as a result of that, doing the work as directed and guided, I was able to be present, to watch him look at me, as painful as that was, in my eyes as he took his last breath. And as I decided that it was okay, Daddy, I said, it's not okay, but it's going to be okay. I was able to use this tool to say, remove my selfishness, my self-seeking, my dishonesty, and my fear. What will you have me be? What will you have me do? And I got to be present as a daughter, even though my heart was breaking, and watch my dad take his last breath, knowing that the hands of AA and God was wrapped around his baby, and that I was finally safe. And I owe that to Alcoholics Anonymous. So I encourage you, if you want this gift called freedom that we receive around here, pick up these tools that are laid at our feet and begin to just make an effort to apply them to our lives and just see what happens. Thank you all so much for allowing me to share with you, and I look forward to hearing the next one of what we're going to do with 6 and 7. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you, Theresa.
Thank you.